Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at Chainlink, its valuations against Bitcoin. If you like this video and the other videos that I make on this channel, be sure to hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing. So, um, Chainlink, in a vacuum, looks good. It's above the 20-week moving average the way it should be. We're continuing on up. We're down 3% for the week. However, we bounced pretty well yesterday considering the circumstances. Um, and we've also been riding the 20-day as well. With that said, Chainlink unfortunately does not live in a vacuum. It has succumbed to other outside forces, most notably Bitcoin. And why is that important? Well, Chainlink hasn't been around too terribly long. In fact, it was introduced in the late 2017, and we really only have price action of Chainlink during Bitcoin's bear market. Now, there's there's not much data to project how Chainlink will fare during a bull market. However, there are some instances, actually only one. And this is kind of the nature of this video. Because Bitcoin's at the 20-week moving average again, how will it fare? Well, the last time Bitcoin was at a 20-week moving average, the Chainlink didn't do so well, but there are other factors to come into play here. Um, so let's take a look at that. So I'll put up Bitcoin and then I'll stack it against Chainlink on the Binance chart. Yep, okay, logarithmic, and let's split view. Okay, so the top panel Bitcoin and the US dollar, bottom panel Link versus Bitcoin. So let's take a look. The only time in Chainlink's history where we moved to the 20 when we hit the 20-week moving average and didn't necessarily um and we have pretty accurate price action is not here. It is not here, unfortunately. When we hit it, it was in September 2017. Chainlink opened on the 25th week of the 25th of September. So, can't use that. What we can use is this prior last year's contact to the 20-week moving average. From the span of the week of September 7th, 2020 to the 5th of October of 2020, we saw Bitcoin ride the 20-week moving average. And so what did Chainlink do at that time? Chainlink bled. It bled from, uh, let's see here. Okay. It bled it bled about 25% against Bitcoin until Bitcoin decided to pick up the slack, move on up, increase its valuation, which resulted in a further Chainlink Bitcoin bleed. Now, this is only one data point. I wouldn't necessarily rely on just one data point, but it's all we got to work with. So, what else in this scenario resulted in that bleed? Well, one example would be that Chainlink went on a run for its life right before, right? Right before that happened, Chainlink had a pretty impressive move, moving from roughly roughly 275% against Bitcoin at that time. Um, at the same time, we saw a pretty manic bubble or rally from Bitcoin itself, moving up 428% against the US dollar. So Chainlink at that time was coming off the back of its own run and running into a Bitcoin run, which I would attribute this entire bleed to. And when we look at the 20-week moving average contact happened in the middle of that, in the midst of that. So if uh, if Bitcoin decides to do another rally after contact with the 20-week moving average, we might see a bleed of Chainlink. Not good. I would I would put an asterisk on that and say that we simply do not know. There's nothing to reference of. Most of the videos that I make, I'm referencing something from the chart. Um, in this case, there isn't, and that's a little nerve-wracking to say the least. We simply don't know where Chainlink's going to land on this, how it's going to react to a Bitcoin that potentially doesn't necessarily hold the 20-week moving average, or if it does hold the 20-week moving average, um, does it bleed? When looking at the market right now, that doesn't seem to be the case. A lot of altcoins are in the green. So this time could be different, but at the same time, we don't know what is different because it's only happened once. So with that said, I'm really going into Chainlink with a very open imagination of the possibilities that it can do. I'm not necessarily going to claim one way or the other because I simply don't know. If we apply the logic of past times Bitcoin has hit the 20-week moving average and rallied, well, you've had instances of altcoins bleeding in the short term, then bouncing hard, which is the most likely scenario. Um, or something else. I mean, like one example could be Ether, Ether Bitcoin against the US dollar. And we see that in the last cycle, when we hit the 20-week moving average, okay, so we see the bleed of Bitcoin, Ethereum takes a hit, but then the bounce after brings Ethereum to higher highs, right? That's one example. Another example could be, let's see here, where else can I reference from? But we also have instances of bleeding, right? As soon as we hit the 20-week moving average with Bitcoin in 2016, Ethereum began to bleed, as we could see here. Seems to bleed. Ethereum picks back up, but then gets taken away by the Bitcoin rally. So what essentially in conclusion is that we simply don't know with Chainlink. It could rally while Bitcoin is riding the 20-week moving average. However, I would contend that if Bitcoin does bounce from the 20-week moving average, then I think liquidity will flow back into Bitcoin. Everyone wants to be a part of the Bitcoin run, and people are willing to sell their positions in altcoins in order to get a slice of that pie. So that is one thing that I'm fairly certain of, but again, nothing is for certain. And that's essentially what I see with Chainlink. So we could see pushing up to higher highs. We could, for all intents and purposes, this could be the run, right? Like the run doesn't have to be 300% moves. We saw little bunny hills, or like little hills that moved up maybe 100%, 70% from the 20-week moving average. They're not the 300, 250% move that we saw last time, right? This move was the most impressive at 267%. We don't necessarily have to go that high. This could be just a small move and a retracement back, hitting its own 20-week moving average, and and we can speculate at that time when Chainlink is at its own 20-week moving average. Bitcoin has already made its bounce above the 20-week moving average. Again, this is all theoretical here. This by no means is for certain. Um, and then at that point, Chainlink can bounce back above its own 20-week moving average and continue on to higher highs. Um, However, we simply don't know. And with that said, I still hold a majority of my Chainlink position. I don't think that this is the move that's going to make me sell everything in profit. I'm expecting a lot more from this asset. I'm expecting a three-figure Chainlink. At some point, like $100 Chainlink is my target. When I bought in at around $12 when it came down. So that's essentially my target for Chainlink, at least for now. Obviously, that may change should things change in the market. But that's pretty much it for today, you guys. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. This is the integral part. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. It's been pretty volatile. The past day, these few hours, it's just been jumping all over the place. So keep an eye on Bitcoin. Bitcoin will show us the way in regards to affect how it's going to affect altcoins. But that's all. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.